Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. Today we're going to cover containers, what they are and why they're useful, and then get into what is Kubernetes and how it interacts with containers, and then actually talk a little bit about Google's managed Kubernetes offering and why you might want to take a look at that. So jumping right into the containers portion of this, back in the day we actually had, it took a long time for us to actually provision servers. So we would go out and have to purchase the hardware, then we would actually have to install the operating system, install any dependencies, and then finally deploy into the application code that was applicable for your system. And this took a lot of time, and there was a lot of effort and capital expenses and just a lot of overhead involved with provisioning your own dedicated server. So then we came out with virtual machines, and that's really where VMware kind of came into the picture. And the big point here is that they actually abstracted away the underlying hardware and allowed you to focus more on the operating system and your dependencies and your application code specifically. That way you can actually not have to worry about buying the actual hardware and putting it into your data center. And this actually was really helpful for a lot of different reasons. One of the challenges, though, is you still had to deal with that kernel layer and the sharing there. So then we come to containers. And the real point of containers is to abstract away that operating system and those dependencies and really focus on really just what your application needs to run. So containers really kind of encapsulate just the application layer and the dependencies that are related to that. It's got a really fast startup time. There's no additional OS processing needed. So it's really just focused on your application. And then if we jump in and take a look at what containers really are, one of the main things and one of the key things about the way containers function is that they're based off of this concept of layers. And so you're actually creating this base image, this base layer, and then as you change things, you actually stack on top of that a new layer with just those changes. So those small updates are new layers within there. So in this case here, we've got this red layer, yellow layer, green, and blue layer. And then we actually created a runtime of this, and these base images then get contained, get started. Then we actually have what's called the container layer, which is this little thin read-write layer that goes on top of all of these base images, which is actually where your application would run, and any changes that